welcome to NoDQ Live here on NoDQ.com and the YouTube channel, youtube.com/AaronRift NoDQ. Thank you guys very much for watching either on demand or watching live. I really appreciate your viewership. And if you enjoyed this video, please share it on social media, tell a friend. So, several TNA contracts are up very soon. Two people in particular, Bobby Lashley and EC3. Also, James Storm is gone from TNA, and there's been a lot of speculation about James Storm possibly returning to WWE. There's also been talk about Lashley and EC3 returning to WWE in 2018. Umar says WWE does not need Lashley. Adam says Bobby is getting too old. Husky Love Machine says, what's up, Aaron? How's it going, Husky Love Machine? Thank you for tuning in. Eddie Edwards. Ryan Frank here mentions Eddie Edwards as well. Jeff Cole says WWE is also looking at Eddie Edwards. So we could see a lot of people from Impact Wrestling jump over to WWE/NXT. We saw Mike Bennett do it, although he hasn't really been able to do much in WWE. He still made the jump. There's also been talk about Laurel Van Ness jumping as well. It seems like a lot of people want out of Impact Wrestling, you know? Doesn't sound like the company's doing very well, but what do we know? TNA, they somehow managed to stay in business, but it is what it is. They're trying to cut costs, and they're focusing on moving their operations into Canada and using more Canadian talent. Joshua says Brock Lesnar versus Lashley, question mark. That would be an interesting match. I think that would be a very good match for Bobby Lashley to bring him in and put him in there with Brock Lesnar. That would be a good way to utilize Bobby Lashley if WWE decides to bring Lashley back. Although, Umar's not a fan of this. Umar says that would be terrible. Hamp says they just refuse to go away. I think he's talking about TNA. Ryan Frank asks, would EC3 change his name or just go by EC3 instead of Ethan Carter? My feeling is WWE would give him a totally different name. I think, yes, they would change his name. First of all, they would give him a name that they would own. They would not use his TNA name, most likely. They would give him a new name. I'm not sure what, but it would just be another name, something different. Eli Drake, I don't know when his contract is up. Chase Games says, I hope they hire Eli Drake. I'd love to see Eli Drake back in WWE. I believe he was there in developmental for a short period of time. Obviously, EC3 was for a little bit. Not that long, though. And, of course, Bobby Lashley was part of one of the biggest WrestleManias of all time, the big Battle of the Billionaires. It's the Constanza says, Lesnar quitting after WrestleMania 34? That's a rumor. Well, it's not quitting. His contract is actually up after WrestleMania 34. The big question is, will Lesnar sign a new deal? Adam says, would Bobby Lashley be a surprise Royal Rumble entrant? I don't know when Lashley's contract expires. I believe with EC3, it's in the spring, somewhere around the middle part of the year. So EC3 is not going to be coming in anytime in the immediate near future. Brando says Lashley is 41 years old. So AJ's right about at 40. AJ Styles, of course. I could see Lashley coming back and having one more run. I think that it's definitely a realistic possibility. Torque Sport TV, does Sting regret joining WWE? What do you think? No, I don't think he regrets it. I think he made the right decision. He milked the TNA deal as long as he could, got the big money, working that limited schedule, and then came in, got to do WrestleMania, and got to go into the Hall of Fame. I think the only mistake Sting made was he came in maybe a little bit too late. I think Sting should have come into WWE a few years sooner. That way, we could have gotten the Sting versus Undertaker match. I think Sting waited maybe a little bit too long to make the jump. You know, if he had jumped, yeah, as Serge says here, 2011, I think would have been perfect. That was, I'm not sure if you guys remember, somebody made a fan poster for WrestleMania of Sting and The Undertaker. That's when the speculation was at its peak about them having a match and a lot of buzz about that. Sting should have made the jump then. That was the one mistake he made. But I get it. Sting, he was a smart businessman. He decided to stay with TNA, and they kept offering him big money, so he took it. And when the company had to cut costs, Sting took off and went to WWE. So as a businessman, Sting made the right decision. Creatively, maybe he should have jumped to WWE a little bit sooner. Taylor G says, do you think it was a bad thing that Bobby Lashley left in 2007? Maybe it was, but from Lashley's perspective, he's been able to do other things with his career. He's been able to do MMA, and he's made some good money in TNA, working, again, a limited schedule. So sometimes you just have to, find a balance, you know? If you're able to make a good living and you're putting minimal wear and tear on your body, sometimes it's worth doing that instead of making the really big money and having to work constantly and wearing yourself out physically. So you really have to balance everything. And I think Lashley maybe did the best thing. It's hard to say. Who knows how far Lashley would have gone. But 41 years old, I still think there's time for him to come back and have a decent run in WWE. And there's a lot of guys you could put Bobby Lashley against. Lashley versus Reigns, as Stab Studios says. You could do Lashley versus Braun Strowman. And of course, as I mentioned, Lashley versus Lesnar. There's a lot of possibilities with Brock Lesnar in WWE. Lots of matches you can do with him. Torque Sport TV says, when will WWE peak again, bro? I stopped watching for the first time in 15 years. I cannot take it anymore. I hate to tell you, probably not anytime soon, but please keep watching the videos, you know. I know a lot of people that say they've stopped watching WWE, but they continue to follow me and watch the videos to keep up to date on WWE, and I think that's awesome. I thank you guys for that. I really do appreciate it. Hamp says they could do Lashley versus Cena again. Yeah, but I think they would do the other matches first. Lashley versus Roman. Yeah, that's definitely a possibility. How will I get that WrestleMania 17 Austin versus Rock feeling again? Not going to happen unless you're a Roman Reigns fan and you love Brock Lesnar. I don't think you're going to be getting that feeling anytime soon. $2 Super Chat donation just came in from Offman Rules. Would EC3 go to NXT or the main roster? Great question. Now, EC3 was already in NXT, technically, even though it was NXT, the TV show, not NXT, the developmental brand, as it later became on the WWE Network. But I do think it's best for guys to go through NXT first. Look at Mike Bennett. They brought Mike Bennett right up to the main roster, and part of that's because of Maria, that, you know, Maria was already with WWE. And, you know, EC3 does have some experience in WWE, so you could argue, you know, like Luke Gallows. Luke Gallows already had experience in WWE. So EC3, he does know some of the ins and outs of working in WWE and the television cameras and all that stuff they teach you in EC3. NXT, EC3, WWE. You could just make a nice little rhyme with all that stuff. Joshua says, is EC3 a WWE Championship guy? That I don't know. I mean, he definitely has the body for it. I think Vince McMahon will look at EC3 and see money in that guy. And EC3 can talk, so he's got that. He can talk, and he's a good wrestler too. So EC3 has a lot of attributes, and I think I could see him possibly going right to the main roster. I could see that happening. I'm not sure, though. I still think he might be better off at least having a brief run in NXT. I mean, you could really argue it either way. Can Cod, where's the donation button? There should be a $ right below where it says say something when you're leaving a message in the chat room. There should be a $ there. Not that I'm asking for donations. You know, you guys are totally doing that on your own, but I appreciate it. I do appreciate the support. And again, if you really want to support the website, please spread the word. Share this video with your friends, anybody you know who watches wrestling. Caleb says, how about Jexy hosting Wrestling Trivia Challenge? Well, stay tuned. I do have an announcement, or actually, maybe not me as far as an announcement goes, but stay tuned. We got some news regarding the show going fairly soon. Husky Love Machine says, if I donate $100 to the Super Chat, can I automatically beat Jeff for the trivia title? No, I'm not that desperate for money. I believe in the integrity of the Wrestling Trivia Championship. You cannot put a price on that championship. Then again, if you make it $1,000, we'll have a deal. Anyways, let's move on here. Miss Elizabeth for Hall of Fame 2018, says Stab Studios. I'd like to see it happen, but it's that same answer I always give people. WWE is not going to induct a lot of people that have passed away into the Hall of Fame. They might do one a year at the most, but they're not going to do more. And quite frankly, I think China should get it. You know, I was really bummed out that Beth Phoenix got it before China. You know, China should definitely get that Hall of Fame spot. Chris says China first. Anthony says, what big names left do you want to see go into the Hall of Fame? Well, obviously, The Rock, Batista, Undertaker, as I mentioned recently. Those are the next three major names I think should and will go into the Hall of Fame soon. And Ryan Frank, as far as what Undertaker does at Raw 25, that's anyone's guess. He could announce his official retirement. He could announce one more match. Who knows what's going to happen? Braden, why less Greg Cherry on NoDQ lately? He's a busy man, but if you're itching for more Greg Cherry, I got some good news for you. He will be back on NoDQ very soon, and we got some big plans. So stay tuned for that. You guys are going to, if you're a Greg Cherry fan, you got some stuff to look forward to from him in 2018. I'll just leave it at that. Jeremiah says Y2J should be at Raw 25. Never say never. I could see that as a possibility. Oh, here we go. Derek, Chris Benoit, Hall of Fame. Should Edge and Christian go into the Hall of Fame as a tag team? Yes, definitely. Edge and Christian were a great tag team, no question about it. I don't know if Christian's going to go in on his own also. So maybe his best shot is going in as a tag team. I mean, what do you guys think? Oh, great, my video's lagging again. Wonderful. Not like Mr. Wonderful, just sarcastic wonderful. Yeah, apparently I'm having a bad connection again. Son of a biscuit. When should Daniel Bryan go into the Hall of Fame, asks Sam. I think that depends. If Bryan is 100% retired, he's never wrestling again for sure, then I would say do it soon. But if he's going to wrestle again, then I say wait on it. You know, Bryan is still a young man in his mid-30s. I think like 34, something like that. Why is this lagging? I am getting... It's just one problem after another here. I have issues with Skype. I have issues with YouTube. I mean, it's just one thing after another. The cat is not making it lag. The cats are awesome. It's got to be some other outside mysterious force. Maybe it's woken Matt Hardy. Is Neville coming back to WWE? That I don't know. Last I heard, they were talking, but apparently things have fallen apart again, and I've heard various things about Neville, that he wants to be out of the Cruiserweight division. Who knows what's going on with him, if he'll be brought back or not. I mean, never say never. Paige did end up coming back when it was very questionable if she would return. So we'll see what happens. What if Jeff Hardy never left WWE in 2009? I think Jeff Hardy would have done great things in WWE if he had been able to stay healthy. I think part of the problem is in 2009 he was so hot, but the problem was he was burned out. So he was hot, but he had completely burned out just mentally. Physically he was on fire, but mentally the fire was gone, and I think he just needed to step away. And, you know, even in TNA with that lighter schedule, he still had a tough time dealing with things. And, you know, I cite the infamous Victory Road match with Sting. Somebody can answer Hamp's question. I've already explained it on video and issued a statement on that. Kayfabe Candy Ass says Jarrett and Russo for the Hall of Fame for the irrelevant ring. What's your problem with Russo, Kayfabe Candy Ass? You gotta be a New Yorker, bro. You gotta support Vince Russo, bro. What do you think about the Woken Matt gimmick? I like it, but I hope this week on Raw we start to see something else other than the backstage back and forth laughing with Bray Wyatt. It was hilarious the first week. It was somewhat funny the second week. If they do it a third week, it's going to get stale. They got to change it up this coming week. Kayfabe Candy Ass says, screw New York. Wow, Kayfabe Candy Ass going full-blown heel here in the chat room. Al Pacino, I'm assuming this is not the actor Al Pacino of Scarface fame. He says, Happy Rusev Day. It's Rusev Day. All right, that's enough of that. Anthony says, I'm sick of hearing about Benoit, F him. So we do not have a Chris Benoit fan. I'm not going to bring up Benoit. You know, there's a lot of mixed emotions about that, you know, other than he had a great career, but the end of his life was definitely one of the darkest periods in wrestling history, no doubt about it. Sam says, I think WWE should sign the Motor City Machine Guns. That is interesting. I mean, I think Chris Sabin is one of those guys that I thought WWE would have signed, but they never did. Him and Jay Lethal, and WWE did use him a little bit, but Christopher Daniels never really got that opportunity. Now, he's too old, I think, you know. He's, what, 47 now, somewhere around there. I think it's unfortunately too late for Christopher Daniels to have a WWE run. But that's a real shame. I think Daniels should have had that opportunity. I remember seeing clips of him in the late 90s, and for whatever reason, the company never gave him a full-time deal. You know, he would do occasional dark matches and make cameo appearances, but he never actually got to be a regular in WWE. Darren, how could somebody work for NoDQ? That's a difficult question to answer. I mean, basically it's a one-person operation. We have a few people that contribute, so there's not really a job. You know, I get this a lot, so I should say this to everybody. You know, I appreciate you guys offering to help out on the website. You want to do the panels. The pay-per-view predictions and reviews, those are reserved for our core group, the guys that I've been working with for a while now, the main team. You know, we've been doing the NoDQ panel videos as a way to have some of you guys, the viewers, get a chance to interact and be on the video with us. But right now I'm trying to get as many people on as possible for the NoDQ panel. And I do appreciate the passion from you guys, though. And please be patient if you've emailed me about being on the NoDQ panel. We're going to try to get everybody on as soon as possible. Just bear with me here. And the Clash of Champions prediction video was great. Well, thank you about that. I really do appreciate it. I hope you guys check it out if you haven't already. It's an honor to have Big Vito part of the team. I'd like to thank him publicly for his contributions to the channel. And hopefully we can get some more wrestling talent on future NoDQ panel videos. I'm working on Russo. I know Kayfabe Candy Ass doesn't like Russo, but I would like to have Vince Russo on a NoDQ panel. I am making that publicly clear. I don't know if he will agree to it or not, but I'm working on it. And if you guys would like to see Vince Russo on NoDQ panel on one of the videos, send him a message on Twitter. He's, I think, at the Vince Russo. I'd like to have Rusev on a NoDQ panel, but WWE doesn't like having their talent on internet shows. So I don't think that's going to happen. And when I say internet shows, I mean like internet wrestling shows. You know, it's fine if it's something mainstream, but if it's a wrestling site like NoDQ.com, all bets are off. Hap says, forget it, bro. Anthony says, I'd rather see Jim Cornette. I'd love to have Cornette on too. That is one of my dreams, to have Cornette and Russo on at the same time. I would do just about anything for that. What about RVD on a future panel? I'd be open to that. I'll see if I can pull some strings and make that happen. I'd love to have RVD on a panel. That would be a lot of fun. In your opinion, what was the WrestleMania where if you missed it, you didn't miss much? 9, 11, those are the easy go-to answers. A lot of the recent ones, quite frankly, 26, other than Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, was pretty forgettable. 27 wasn't really anything great other than Undertaker's match. 29 wasn't anything all that special. Jeremiah Dorset says, get Mr. Kennedy on. How about Disco Inferno? I see Disco Inferno, Bruce Pritchard. I'm working on it. I'm working on getting some people onto future NoDQ panel videos, and we'll see what happens in 2018. It's going to be a fun year. 2018 is NoDQ.com's 20-year anniversary, so expect some big things. The best, as they say, is yet to come. Who put Frank in timeout and why? That I don't know. Maybe it's kayfabe candy ass. I'm not seeing TJS in this chat room right now, so it must have been kayfabe or Mr. Candy Ass, whatever you. For you guys in the chat room, I would call him Mr. Candy Ass because he is the moderator. Guilty pleasure of mine in WCW is Glacier. Glacier had a cool entrance. That was about it. That's really the only positive thing I could say. Serge says, how about doing WrestleMania 2 over again? I like that idea. You know, I'm surprised WWE hasn't done that yet. I'm surprised WWE hasn't done a WrestleMania in 3 different locations, you know. They do it usually in one stadium with 60, 70,000 people, but you could do WrestleMania in 3 separate locations, draw 15,000 people to each venue, and you know, you would still make a lot of money. You could charge high ticket prices. People would have better seats, you know, for WrestleMania rather than be way up in the middle of nowhere for the show. And the technology is a lot better now. See, in 1986, the technology was still in its infancy with pay-per-view and WWE trying to do that. You know, it was very ambitious at the time. And, you know, they were plagued with technical problems. And that's why that WrestleMania 2 was such a dud, because from a production values aspect of it, it was just a disaster for WWE. Just tons of technical mistakes. Now, 2017, 2018, they have the technology. I think it would be really awesome to do WrestleMania in LA, Chicago, and New York. Maybe even just do 2 cities, you know, one for Raw, one for SmackDown. Raw in LA, SmackDown in New York, or vice versa. I think that would be really cool. I would love to see it happen one of these years. You know, Staples Center, and, you know, spend the money and do Madison Square Garden. Staples Center and Madison Square Garden WrestleMania. That would be great. Raw, SmackDown, you go back and forth. I think it would be amazing. I would love to see it happen. Just change things up a bit, you know? And you got the technology now. What about doing a part of it in the UK? That I don't know. You know, I have the same response that I always give. I don't think WWE is going to run WrestleMania in the UK when the United States is their primary market, and wrestling fans are notoriously creatures of habit, and you know, asking the fans in the United States to watch at some weird time is asking a lot. So I don't know if WWE is going to do it or not. But I did say this before. I'll say it again. If WWE ever does WrestleMania in the UK, I will fly out for that. I will travel to the UK for that. Of course, finances will depend on that, but I should be able to do it if I have a little bit advance notice. I'd love to go to WrestleMania in the UK and just be able to travel to Europe. Never been outside of the North America continent, so that would be really cool. And that would be the time to do it for sure. Oh, TJS is here. He's late. You're fired, TJS. That's unacceptable behavior, my friend. You're fired. Mr. Tank says, I'll take you to lunch. Cool, we can get fish and chips. I'm so picky, though. You know, I'm one of those guys, if I go to a foreign country, I would look for the closest McDonald's. That's how lame I am. I'm not big when it comes to expanding my horizons with food. I'll just be trying to find a McDonald's or a Burger King or something. Well, not Burger King. Burger King sucks. I try to find a McDonald's. I'm sure there would be McDonald's. There's McDonald's everywhere. Tyler JS... Tyler JS, wow, that's a new one. TJS says it's that damn net neutrality. Yes, that's got to be the problem. And hopefully that situation doesn't get as severe as people are fearing. That would just be awful. I'm really hoping that this thing just doesn't end up being a disaster for people that actually enjoy using the internet and like having that freedom and not having to pay for surfing the internet or being cut off or whatever crap is going on now. So I hope it doesn't affect NoDQ. I really hope it doesn't. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, I mean, that's definitely something to be concerned about, you know, for a lot of people on the internet. Darren says, where's Interstate Kyle? Probably clipping his toenails somewhere and putting them in a little bin. I don't know. Okay, Sam just gave me a really difficult question. In your opinion, what's the best Royal Rumble besides 1992? Mine is 2007. I think I like 2002. I really enjoyed 2002 because it had the Triple H comeback story, which I liked. You had the returns of Mr. Perfect, Goldust, Godfather, Val Venus. That was just a fun Rumble. Maven eliminating Undertaker. A lot of cool moments. I really liked the 2002 Rumble. I didn't like the 2001 as much as people give it credit for. I was not a fan of the whole, what's his name? I'm forgetting his name now. Drew Carey. Drew Carey in the Rumble, that was a joke. Come on now. 2004 was great. And of course, people forget about that one because of Chris Benoit. But that was an awesome Royal Rumble. And 2005, you know, besides the whole Vince tearing his quads thing, and Kayfabe Candy Ass just mentioned it, the one where Vince's quads were eliminated. That one was fun because of Daniel Puder getting chopped by everybody. That was one of the all-time greatest Royal Rumble moments, in my opinion. Daniel Puder just getting the crap chopped out of him by everybody. That was a great moment. And of course, 2007 too, particularly the end with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker as the final two, and them having this lengthy back and forth at the end. I thought that was awesome. 2008 was another great one, you know. Say what you will about Cena, but his return was cool. It was a big surprise. Nobody expected it. You had Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka out there. It was just a fun atmosphere. That was another good Rumble. As far as recent Rumbles go from the last 10 years, that's a tough one. I guess 2013, but I think I'm biased with that one because I was at that one. 2000 Rumble, the match itself was pretty good. The 2000 Rumble pay-per-view in general was just a great show. With Triple H and Cactus Jack street fight, the Hardys versus the Dudleys, and Mae Young's puppies, yeah. It's the Costanza says the Royal Rumble lost it, no more surprise entrance. Well, we had AJ Styles in 2016. The problem with the last few Rumbles is the winners have been disappointing. You know, we had Batista winning it when nobody wanted Batista to win. Then Roman Reigns won it. Then Triple H won it. And people were only happy about that because it wasn't Reigns. And then Randy Orton won in 2017. And again, people were only happy about that because Roman Reigns did not win. It seems like a pattern here. So yeah, I'd like to see somebody new, as I've talked about in my other videos. I would like to see somebody new win the Rumble this year. And some legends. How hard is it to give us some legends? Just pay out a couple $1,000s to these guys and give the fans some good nostalgic moments to remember the Royal Rumble by. Thank you guys again for tuning in. And by the way, pick up this shirt at ProWrestlingTees.com. NoDQ video with Aaron Rift. It says it is what it is on the back with the NoDQ.com logo. And check out the other 17 shirts over at ProWrestlingTees.com. Search NoDQ. Use the code SAVE5 to get a discount. Shin should win the Royal Rumble. Yes, I agree on that. Shin would be my first choice to win the Rumble. Adam thinks there might be a backlash at the Rumble. We will chant "We want Balor" during the Lesnar match at the Rumble. Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because let's keep in mind, this Royal Rumble pay-per-view is in fact in Philly. And we saw what happened in Philly a couple of years ago. What are the odds that the fans hijack this show if Finn Balor is not in the Universal title match? That could be very interesting. Or if the Royal Rumble comes down to, say, John Cena and Roman Reigns at the end. How would the crowd react to that? I'm not sure they would be too thrilled. Serge says Jinder should win the Royal Rumble. LOL. Adam thinks 1000% that it will be hijacked. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Anthony says Brock versus Kane is boring. WWE is asking to be hijacked. TJS says, let's see the back of the shirt. Go to Pro Wrestling Tees, you can see the back of the shirt. There's the front and the back. You can see it over at PWT's website. Again, search NoDQ or use SAVE5 for a small discount. And, if Reign wins to got on to face Lesnar, it's going to be chaos. I don't think Reigns is winning the Rumble because we have Elimination Chamber in February, which is a Raw exclusive. I think Reigns will likely win the Elimination Chamber. Stab Studio says, what's the best WCW match, WWE match, and ECW match? Oh man, that's a loaded question. I mean, WWE match, Austin versus Bret Hart, no doubt about it. WCW match, you're really putting me on the spot with that one. I'm not even sure off the top of my head my all-time favorite. So I'm just going to name one completely random off the top of my head, and that's the Nasty Boys versus Cactus Jack and Max Payne from Spring Stampede 94. Just a totally random match. DDP versus Goldberg is another one. Yeah, I think, yes, I definitely prefer Austin versus Bret Hart over Michaels and Taker. Austin, Bret Hart, no doubt, my favorite WWE match of all time. ECW match, I'm not really sure off the top of my head what would be my favorite ECW match. I don't know. What do you guys think? Your all-time favorite ECW match? Go ahead and list some off for me so I can try to remember some of them. Aaron, why are your Christmas decorations up? You're usually quick. Just no need. Not really that big on decorations these days. Just, you know. Al Pacino says RVD versus Jerry Lynn. Yeah, I mean, anytime those guys wrestled, it was great. What was, you know, I really like, yeah, Mike Awesome versus Tanaka was another good one. Anything with Terry Funk was great. You know, Terry Funk always had some crazy matches in ECW. I never really watched that much ECW, so that's why my memory is really foggy on ECW stuff. Even WCW, I have trouble coming up with favorite matches. Terry Funk versus Sabu. Well, Sabu's matches had so many botches all the time. That's the thing about Sabu's matches. You know what? I like the Zombie versus the Sandman. That's my all-time favorite ECW match. How about that, guys? Anyways, I will go ahead and wrap up this video for tonight. Thank you all for tuning in. Programming note, tomorrow I will be doing this earlier start time. It will be noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time for tomorrow. And Saturday, it will be the same thing. It will be noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Those will be the next two videos. And then Sunday night, I will be doing a live review after the pay-per-view. And then NoDQ Live will be on, as usual, Monday night and Tuesday night after Raw and SmackDown, respectively. So that will wrap it up for tonight's video. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate it. Please spread the word. Future Shocker 16 just left a $2 super chat donation. What's up, Aaron? Off topic, but any thoughts on The Walking Dead? It sucks now. I'm very disappointed in the show, and I'm very close to giving up on it completely. And the end of this mid-season, I do not buy that that's what's happening, but all sources are indicating that that is, in fact, what's happening. So we'll see what happens, but I'm pretty much, either way, I'm fed up with the show. So there, that's it for NoDQ Live. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you tomorrow.